Hey John, so I specifically sought out people in our cohort this time that have a true emphasis in sports, whether it's their background, whether it's their coaching, whether it's their desires as an athletic director. So I did specifically choose out you and Denton to respond to this time, and because I truly value what you guys have to say, because I feel like you're the closest to it, and so your opinions are going to be extremely important in me looking at this from various perspectives. And I found it really interesting that you and Denton kind of had differing views, and there's nothing wrong with that. It was just interesting to me. And so in Denton's response, he mentioned how he can definitely see how sports has kind of overtaken our school districts. And, I wonder if that's because he works at a more rural school as I do. And, sports are everything, that is it. But some of those other districts that maybe are larger and there's a lot of widespread interest, maybe sports isn't the only thing, or it's not like the biggest focus of that school. And so maybe there is a stronger tie to other things. And so I liked what you said about really making sure that there's a fine balance. And I think really that's what it comes down to, is that there's a fine balance, that we understand what the school is there for, and that we use sports as a tool and in a way to enhance our learning, and to also, develop skills that maybe can't be learned as well in other areas of our education. But I guess I see such a problem right now, and part of it, I think, has to do with the teacher-centered versus the student-centered. Years ago in teaching, there was such an emphasis on teacher-centered teaching, and everything was about the teachers. And now we've completely swung the other way, and everything's about the students. And I agree, it should be about the students. We should be doing what's best for kids. But I think in a little bit of that, I think we've made the kids the sun, and everything else is revolving around them. And I also think that that might be a little bit of why we see the entitlement that we do in this most recent generation, because we've moved so much the other direction. So I think that we need to move back, but not all the way back. We just need to find that happy balance. There's a reason truly that our schools, yes, the rates were higher for athletes versus non-athletes, but something's still wrong, because we're still below other countries. Now, there's a lot of factors in there. I mean, we need to educate everyone here in the United States versus other countries that don't educate everyone. And there's a lot of tracking, and there's so many factors to these statistics, so I hate to get caught up in them. But I think even just what we can see with our eyes, there definitely is something wrong with the fact that we elevate sports to such a level. So I 100% agree with you. I think it's all about balance, but I just think your view was very interesting. And I did love that the article shared specifically about Kansas statistics, because I think that's what a lot of us care about. Okay, great, that's what the nation's doing, but what is Kansas doing? And so that was great to be able to see that. So anyways, thank you for what you do as a coach, thank you for what you do as an educator, and thank you for sharing your perspective. So yeah, I would love to know, I mentioned this in Denton's as well, I would love to know what you think about privatized sports and their role in education, so that, maybe schools would not be the focus for athletics, but rather those privatized areas, and that schools could focus more on academics. Is that something that you've really thought much about, or have any views on? I would love to know.